Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something really important, the best ways to give kind and helpful care to people who need mental health support. So let's just start with a really big question. What does it actually mean to give good care? How do we help someone in the best way we possibly can? Well, the whole answer is really built on one simple but very, very powerful idea. It's the key to helping everyone. First, let's get clear on what we mean by principles. A principle is just a rule, really. It's a simple rule that helps us decide what to do and guides how we act.
And here it is. This is the most important principle of all. It's the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. It's this idea. Every single person is valuable and deserves respect. Period.
Okay, so let's get into our first big idea, and it's a huge one, the power of acceptance. This is one of the most important tools we have in our toolkit.
So what is acceptance, really? What does it look like? It's about showing real interest, showing patience. It's caring about someone just because they are a person. No other reason is needed. Now, this next part is so important to get right. Acceptance and approval are not the same thing. They're really different. See, acceptance is about caring for the person. Approval, on the other hand, is about agreeing with their behavior. This means you can totally care for someone deeply, even if you don't agree with something they did. So how do we actually do this? How do we show acceptance? Well, it really comes down to these 4 key actions. First, we try not to judge. We show genuine interest. We really listen. We try our best to understand the feelings that are behind the words. And finally, our conversations need to have a purpose, and that purpose is to help them.
Okay, let's use a real example here. Imagine a patient says something really shocking, like this. Our first reaction might be to judge them or even feel scared, but a great carer learns to listen differently, to listen for the emotion that's hiding behind those words.
So what's the real feeling here? They're not actually talking about violence. They're expressing an emotion, and that feeling is just intense, pure anger. And this is a much, much better way to respond. Instead of getting stuck on the scary words, we focus on the feeling. Asking something like, "You seem really angry. What happened?" shows you're actually listening, and it gives them a safe way to talk about it.
All right, so once we've built that solid foundation of acceptance, we can move on to the next step, which is all about helping patients find their own strengths and start to grow.
This is really about empowerment, helping patients feel capable and strong. And we do this in a few ways. We help them build their skills so they feel useful. We let them practice making their own choices so they feel like they have some control. And we try to create opportunities for them to succeed because that builds up their confidence.
Now, let's switch gears a little and talk about you, the carer. What are some of the key principles that should guide our own actions and our own mindset?
It is so important that we don't do things that make a patient's anxiety worse. A few things you should never do are, laugh at them or point out their mistakes. And also, remember to check in with your own feelings. If you're anxious, believe me, they will feel it too. Okay, next up is a really key professional skill, objectivity. What is that? It just means seeing a situation clearly, kind of like how a camera records a video, without your own feelings or opinions getting mixed in. You just see what's happening. So how can you know if your own feelings are getting in the way? You can look for some signs in yourself. Are you being critical of the patient? Are you judging their behavior as just good or bad? If you are, that's a little signal to maybe take a step back. And this is exactly why a professional relationship is so important. It creates a safe space, it protects the patient by keeping the focus just on their needs, but it also protects you, the carer, from getting so emotionally exhausted that you can't help anymore. That's a feeling we call burnout. All right, we're almost there. Let's talk about our last set of principles. These ideas help make sure that everything we do is about providing care and never ever about just controlling someone. Now, using physical force is something you want to avoid at all costs. But if it is absolutely necessary to keep someone safe, it has to be done the right way. Quickly, calmly, and with enough help. You always explain why it's happening, and you never ever make the patient feel like they're being punished. All of these ideas really bring us to one big central truth. Our focus should always be on caring for the person, not just trying to control their symptoms. We always have to see the whole human being standing in front of us. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this question to think about. We've talked about acceptance, about being objective, and about seeing the person, not just their symptoms. So, How will you use these principles in your own life to show someone that you truly, genuinely care?